Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Google Pigeon, What We Know 34 Days Later. My name is Matt Baer with Q4 Launch. Looking forward to connecting with you today and sharing some of the insights that we're learning, some things we've learned about it that you may have read in blogs, also some real live results that we're seeing in the last 34 days and what changes have happened. And then what you need to do about it is kind of how we're going to be wrapping up our time together and talking about next steps. Where do you go from here? So we share some great information, but how do you help me take that home? How do you help me apply that in my business? So if you've been on webinars with us before, you know I love that. Next steps, leave you with some great takeaways, so you can count on that today. If this is your first time joining us for a webinar, welcome. Glad you're along for the ride, and we're looking forward to having some fun together today and diving into this topic that everybody's been talking about for the last 30 days, and looking forward to sharing those insights with you that we've really been able to start understanding. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and figure out what we know and what's going on with Google Pigeon. First of all, the word pigeon actually is something that was coined by Search Engine Land. It's not an official release, unlike penguin and panda of the past. That's not a name Google came out with, but it's something that we've all kind of come to refer to it as since Search Engine Land really pushed that out. So that's one kind of point. You can use that at your latest cocktail party you go to and seem like you've got this whole internet marketing thing figured out. It's a little trivia for you there. Why do I have this graphic up on the screen? Some of you may be familiar with this. You may have called it the map listings or something along those lines. I wanted to kind of do a little bit of vocab as we dive in here today because it's going to affect the things we talk about as we move forward with our time together. What marketers call this listing here, which you'll see is for the search term Eureka Springs Bed and Breakfast. This is what's called a 7-pack. So if you've been reading blogs about this, maybe you read our blog about this or somebody else's blog on this topic, and you hear people referring to a 3-pack or a 7-pack or a 5-pack, and all you really care about is a 6-pack. Maybe that's you. You can relate to that. But this is what's called a 7-pack, and it's called that because there's 7 listings here, A through G, and it's usually correlated to having a map to the right of it when you look at those results. This is a screenshot taken straight from Google. Our design team put that little fancy green and blue frame around it for you so you wouldn't see that part on Google. But this is what we refer to as the 7-pack. Now, if you're tracking along, you probably guessed that a 5-pack is A through E. So if you run a search and you get a 5-pack, you just have 5 listings, a 3-pack, 3 listings, and a 1-pack would just be 1 listing, which we're actually seeing an increase in that as part of what's going on with Google Pigeon. And why does that matter? That's the question. Why do I care if it's a 5-pack or a 7-pack? Well, it's a pretty simple answer, but if you've got a 7-pack, that means that Google's going to feature 7 companies, 7 B&Bs, 7 hotels, 7 vacation rental companies in this list. So you got a 1 out of 7 shot. Now, if you're in a competitive market space, maybe there's 30 companies you're competing with, that means 7 out of the 30 can be in here. Now, you fast forward that to a 3-pack, your odds go significantly down. You went from having about a 25% shot of being featured to now you've got about a 10% shot of being featured using that 3-pack with 30 local competitors. So it's important to understand, okay, is Google showing a 7-pack versus a 3-pack in my area? And we're going to share some results about what we're seeing in the change in that mix, 3-pack versus 7-pack versus no pack at all. So hopefully that the little bit of language there will help you kind of as we go through our time together today, and as I refer to those things, you'll know what we're talking about. The big thing that everybody's been talking about with this change is that there has been a significant disruption in the number of map packs or the percentages of time that map packs are being shown. So this graph comes from Mozcast, and it's tracking of all the searches done across the web about what percentage of time or percentage of queries return a map pack or return a local search result. You've probably heard that terminology as well. So you have this. We pulled this. If you go on Mozcast, you can pull this, and it says actually this dip is gone because it always pulls the last 30 days. But you'll see we were running about a 12.5% percentage of time that the map pack was showing up. Now, this is not industry specific. This is across all queries. So we're going to talk industry specific numbers here in a little bit to help this hit a little closer to home for you. But we were running about a 12%. When this came out, you see that steep drop right away. And that's what freaked everybody out, was that it went off a cliff there, and then it went further down the next day. Historically, when Google makes a change, they say, oh, it'll affect a small number of people, and then it comes out and it affects 50% of people or some huge number. We saw that back with the when they went to the not provided keywords, and it just kept affecting more and more people. So this was a huge alarm for marketers initially, specifically people that were trying to help their customers, help their innkeepers, help their vacation rental people get on the map, get on the map pack, if you will. So it was a big alarm. Now on 7/29, you'll see it bounced back. Since then, we've seen it hovering right around the 10% mark. So we went from about 12.5% to about 2%, and then we're back to about 10%. So that's the good news, right? Everybody was freaking out initially. It was all the chatter when it was down at 2% because it was having a significant impact on results. But it has bounced back to about that 10% mark. So all in all, not down as drastically as we first thought, but still something we want to keep an eye on and understand what's going on. And we want to understand really deeper than that, deeper than just a percentage of queries, which means one thing. What was really going on there? What was really happening behind the scenes? So it gets us to that question of what was Pigeon's purpose and what has happened as a result. These are some of our beliefs, so these aren't, you're not going to find necessarily a blog that just states this matter of factly. There are blogs out there from people like Matt Cutts, who does lead the the Google algorithm team and things like that, where they comment on some of this. But most of what we share today is our opinions and what we're seeing. With that kind of caveat, we believe a lot of Google's Pigeon's purpose, and from what we're reading and seeing, number one, it was aimed to deliver an improved local search result with better distance and location ranking parameters. So that's kind of some marketing speech there, but basically what that boils down to, and we'll show you this data later on in our time together, is that they're trying to get a better local search experience. So if someone is searching for, let's just use Myrtle Beach as an example. If someone's searching for a Myrtle Beach vacation rental and they're sitting in Boise, Idaho, they're going to see a different result than someone who's searching Myrtle Beach vacation rental who's sitting in Myrtle Beach, with the assumption that if I'm in Myrtle Beach and I'm searching that on my phone, my Android, my iPhone, my tablet, whatever it might be, that I'm probably looking for a different type of result than if I'm searching that from Boise, Idaho, with the assumption in that example being that if you're looking from Boise, Idaho, you're looking probably to make a vacation rental booking at some point in the future. If you're sitting in Myrtle Beach searching Myrtle Beach, chances are you're looking to make a booking right now. So what we believe is that they're using that location data more specifically to adjust the map packs on the fly a little bit. And if you're on a mobile device, you're on a tablet, you're searching in that location for that location, that you're going to get a much more zoomed in, more close experience. Now with something like vacation rentals where there aren't quite as many in a market, or bed and breakfast where there aren't quite as many in a market, not as huge of a potential deal. But think about that hotel industry where you've got 30 hotels in a 2-block radius in a lot of major cities. Now that location, that specific locality makes a much bigger difference. And it has a huge impact potentially on what's going on with local bookings, last-minute bookings and walk-ins. So that's a lot to kind of wrap your head around there, but a really important thing. And you've got to start looking at your search from a little more holistic perspective and understanding local versus non-local search and some of those things. They get a little bit technical, but we'll talk about them and try to unpack them for you. The second one there is that it ties deeper into Google's already established ranking signals. So as the map pack came out years back, a lot of people weren't really sure, okay, well, what is the ranking signal, meaning the algorithm that decides if someone's going to rank in that, different than that for the rest of the search results, everything else on that page. And the belief has always been, yes, that it probably is different. We think that things like Google Plus and the reviews on your Google Plus page play a larger role in your map pack ranking than some of your other rankings. Still sticking with that, but we also see this as a move that Google is going to bring in more of their traditional ranking signals into that mix so that they're getting the best quality content. At the end of the day, all the changes they make are about serving the best quality, the best, most relevant search result for the user. So trying to help them understand that. And we think Google Plus is just going to continue to play an increasing role in that mix. So don't ignore that from a review strategy, from a social media strategy. It also now includes the search features such as spelling correction. So spelling correction is something that's been out there for a long time in Google search, especially if you have either a business name that's hard to spell, or you're in a location that's hard to spell. Maybe the city name is hard to spell. This is good for you because Google's using that spelling correction as well as some of their other search features to help people get a better search result. Now, there's a ton of other assumptions out there on the internet about what is Pigeon's purpose, what's going on. People are saying there's less prevalence given to ads in this, that certain reviews are being excluded from pay-per-click ads now. We've tested a lot of that. We haven't seen consistent results in our testing for a lot of those other assumptions, so we're not necessarily jumping on that bandwagon just yet, that we see a major change in AdWords and so forth. One other thing that we have seen come from this, and it's not necessarily the purpose of it, but is a significant change, a significant preference being given to local directories. And we're going to dive into that as we keep moving forward here a little bit too. But that leads us to the question, okay, that's the purpose. Okay, I feel like I've got an understanding now of what's going on, why Google's doing what they're doing, but what's that mean to me? So let's zoom out from these really broad, okay, this is what's going on in the industry as a whole, and let's get it a little bit more specific to the people on the call today. As most of you know, as a company, we specialize in the hospitality industry. We put heads in beds. Like, at the end of the day, we're a marketing company that put heads in beds. So knowing that, knowing many of you are in the hospitality industry on our call today, we really want to hone in on what this means for our customers and then share what we're seeing with you as a way, if you're managing your own marketing or trying to take this on your own, to help you do that. If we're managing marketing for you, I know a lot of our customers are on the call today, rest assured this is just taken care of for you, and our team is hard at work on it based on what we're seeing here. But this is what it means for you. One, consumers searching from home likely won't be seeing different results, in our opinion. So based on the testing we've done, based on all of that, what I talked about earlier, the consumer who's doing their search from home, think back to that Boise, Idaho searching for a Myrtle Beach vacation rental, or I'm sitting in Charleston, I'm searching for a Seattle bed and breakfast. Think about that. You have always seen map packs traditionally. And for the most part, those results aren't going to change dramatically. The number of listings, 3, 5, 7, 1, that might change a little bit, but you're probably still going to continue to see the map pack. One exception to that we are seeing pretty prevalently, and we were seeing it some before, but appears to be more prevalent, is the hotel side of things. The hotel side of local search appears to be showing the carousel more than any. It's been doing that for a while, and the carousel I don't have a screenshot of today because it's not something we're going to spend a lot of time talking on because it doesn't affect very many of our customers. It's served up less than 1% of all search results get a carousel, but it's a big disruptor to the search world, and that's really just a ribbon at the top of your search results of photos and links, and then there's no map pack with that carousel. So we're seeing the carousel really be prevalent and dominating the hotel searches. Why Google has it dominating hotel and not B&B, not vacation rentals, not boutique hotels, not 100% sure, but that's something to keep an eye on because it's going to be a major disruptor if they use that and they apply it into these other verticals from a hospitality marketing perspective. Point 2, you've probably already read ahead on there, but consumer searching on mobile, aka last-minute bookings and walk-ins, may see different results based on their location they're doing the search from. So again, that example, if I'm standing in Myrtle Beach searching for a Myrtle Beach vacation rental, a Myrtle Beach hotel, a Myrtle Beach bed and breakfast, I'm probably going to see a different result than I would if I was searching that from Boise, Idaho, or anywhere else but Myrtle Beach. So it's a non-local search. That's different, and that's a big deal because we've seen as a company a rise in last-minute bookings and a rise in walk-in business in a lot of the markets that we're doing work in. Now, some of the markets that are just heavily booked, there's an incredibly high demand, maybe not seeing it quite as much of an increase in some of those, but in a lot of the markets we're doing work in, we're seeing a lot more last-minute bookings within the week. And that's something that your marketing strategy really needs to be thinking about, taking into account for, and that doesn't necessarily mean jumping straight to the idea of discounting for last-minute bookings. That is valid in certain cases, but knowing that we're going to see a rise in that, or we believe we're seeing a rise in that, if you go straight to a discounting mentality, you're potentially undercutting your revenue as a whole. So it's a delicate thing to work there. It's a delicate balance to have. But there definitely are cases where it might make sense. So case-by-case basis, something you got to figure out for your business. Number 3, the point, and I mentioned this earlier, is the increase in directory listing results like TripAdvisor.com. This is something that surprises us. It continues to boggle my mind a little bit and frustrate me as a marketer. I know it frustrates many of you as well because you've shared that with me via email and in different webinars in the past. But this latest release, or the Pigeon release, really seems to have given a lot of preference to people like TripAdvisor, Yelp, other online directories, and they seem to be benefiting from this in a big way. And the reason that's often the case is because if we're going to show less map packs, people like TripAdvisor could never appear on a map pack because they didn't have a local address. So TripAdvisor doesn't have a Charleston address. They don't have a Seattle address. They have their local address. So they could never appear, they could never compete with you for those map pack listings, which was always good because that gave us our space as an individual hotel, B&B, vacation rental, and it gave the directories their space and the regular organic listings. So that separation was nice. But if we're going to decrease the number of map packs showing up, that increases the traffic that TripAdvisor, Yelp, other third-party directories, Select Registry, potentially has the opportunity to get. So that means a couple things. One, directories could be playing an increasing role in the coming future. We know TripAdvisor is continuing to gain market share and play an increasing role. Much of the marketing hoops they have you jump through as a property owner or marketing director actually go to just feed that fire even more. Putting their certificate of excellence on your site just feeds that fire even more because you're putting inbound links to them. Not saying you shouldn't do it, but it just feeds that fire, and they're masters at getting you to market them. But it's kind of the way it has to go. The other thing to think about is that your listing on other directories, maybe some lesser known directories, may become more important in the coming year, and you really need to be honed in on your analytics to understand that. Time and time again, we talk to people in the space that don't have a firm grasp on what's going on in their analytics, and I say it when I'm on those calls, and I say it today. You've either got to know and have command of and understand your analytics, or work with someone you trust to do that. There are a lot of great trustworthy marketing partners in the industries we work, and we'd really encourage you to have a command, have an understanding of your analytics, where you're getting your traffic from and where you're getting your bookings from. Because if you don't understand it, you're putting your business at a potential huge risk to not understand it and try to make decisions. You need to be able to make data-driven decisions on where you're spending your marketing dollars. And you've got to be able to do that and either figure that out yourself or work with somebody you can trust to do that for you. So I'll get off my soapbox on that one a little bit, but really want you to take that away, that analytics is the most important thing, excuse me, that you can really hone in on in your marketing mix to understand what's going on. So the next question we have, or the next question that you probably want to know is, what have we seen in our testing? So we work with properties all over the country. We're so blessed to work with so many of the great people we do work with. And we're constantly both searching to test and run things for them, but also to search and test to see what's going on in the industry as a whole so we can share that with you all via our blogs and via our webinars and just stay ahead of the game for you. So I'm going to run through several different examples here. We're going to get deep into the data. We love the data at Q4Launch. You've heard me talk a lot about analysis, analytics, and the importance of that data and data-driven decisions. Whether this is your first time with us or you've been with us many times, I'm probably sounding like I'm beating the same drum, but it's so critical. So we're going to dive into these. We're going to walk through several different examples, which we've run for different purposes because it's important to understand that Pigeon impacts different industries in different ways. So reading what it's doing to the real estate industry may or may not necessarily be relevant to you in your industry. It's hammering the real estate industry, by the way. It's having some major changes there, whereas the changes are very different in the hospitality industry. So we're going to walk through several different examples and look at what each of these examples means. So this is based off a considerable number of searches that our team has run from lots of different parameters and come up with these results. So you'll see there the search term city name bed and breakfast. Now I put the underline and the emphasis on city name so you'd remember, hey, he's not actually searching city name. Plug that in with whatever city name, and that's the search we did. We plugged in tons of different city names there to see the types of results that we were getting. You'll also see that asterisk right below it, searching from a non-local location. So to segment out the difference between searching for a Seattle B&B in Seattle versus searching for a Seattle B&B and any other location in the country, we ran all of these searches from non-local locations. I won't dive deep into how to do that today, but that's something that's important because the results are going to be different. We're going to show you those here in a little bit. So what we saw was with that search from a non-local location, 80% of the time we were getting a 7-pack. So that's pretty good. I'd say that's probably a little bit lower than what it was before. We hadn't actually run that test before, so I don't have data to compare it to, but 80% is still pretty good. The 3-pack we saw 5% of the time. And in the times that we saw the 3-pack instead of the 7-pack, they were all in smaller markets. I don't know how many B&Bs were in those markets, but they were all smaller markets. So I gave the example of 30 B&Bs. A city that had 30 was probably showing the 7-pack. They were smaller markets that were showing 3-packs typically, and it was 5% of the results. This one surprised us a little bit, but no map pack, meaning that there was no map, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all that was not showing at all, was 15% of the time. So that was a bit surprising. That's higher than we expected it to be, and that's what everybody's been saying. That's the big thing from Pigeon, is that less map packs are showing up. But 80% of the time we were still seeing a 7-pack. Moving on here, we wanted to see what would happen if we added the state abbreviation to that. So we went city name, comma, and then the state 2-letter abbreviation. 90% of the time with that search, we had a map pack, a 7-pack. 0% of the time we got the 3-pack, and 10% of the time we had no map pack. So we saw a little shift in our results there. It wasn't overly dramatic, but we did see a little shift in what was going on with the searches. So keeping in mind, you should be optimizing for both of those, city name and city name state. If you're in a city with a very common name, you probably want to put more resources towards city name, comma, state abbreviation. If you're in a city where the name, it has its own brand, and you have a great visitors bureau who does a good job of branding your city, maybe put more resources towards just the city name. We're headquartered in Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston's obviously a world-renowned destination, but we also have Charleston, West Virginia to contend with. So based on where you are, that could change that. If you search Charleston Bed and Breakfast and you're in West Virginia, you may be more likely to get a Charleston, West Virginia result than you would be if you were searching that anywhere else. So you need to really hone in and understand for your city which of those two is more important and which one should you be going after. With the reality, you need to be going after both, but which one should you be putting more money towards, more resources towards. And there's great testing you can do, both just kind of through Google doing your own searches, but also looking at like Google AdWords and search estimators and keyword estimator, traffic estimator, tools like that are available through the Google AdWords platform. So really encourage you to own that, understand what's going on there, and make sure you're optimized for that properly. The next thing we looked at was the term bed and breakfast as a whole. Again, you're searching non-local location anytime you search this because there's not a local location. The part that was surprising was that the times we searched this, from changing the city name, we had no 7-pack. All of these searches were done on a desktop platform, not mobile. So additional research needs to be done to see, okay, how does that change if you're searching on mobile? But today's research was all done from a desktop. So the 7-pack completely went away, which is pretty interesting. I didn't think it would completely go away, but 0% of the time we saw a 7-pack. Doesn't mean you'll never see one if you run this search from your mobile phone especially. On a mobile phone, I'd expect to have a different result. But from a desktop, we didn't see any 7-packs at all. We saw a 2, 3, and a 5-pack show up. I hadn't seen a 2-pack before, just wasn't something that showed up very often, but in this testing we did, we saw the 2-pack show up some, 2, 3, or 5, 40% of the time, and then no map pack showed up 60% of the time. So that means there was no A through G, no A through E, there was none of those types of listings, it was all just regular organic listings, 60% of the time. The good news is Select Registry that we work with showed up in a lot of those searches for this term. So if you're a Select Registry member, hear that, that you're represented there well through the organization that you're a part of there. Shifting gears here a little bit, let's look at vacation rentals. This is pretty different, pretty dramatically different from what we saw on the bed and breakfast side. The search for city name vacation rentals, again from a non-local location, the 7-pack showed up 60% of the time, the 3 or the 5-pack showed up 35% of the time, and no map pack showed up 5% of the time. The 3 and 5-pack, again, were in some markets that we were running tests on that were smaller markets. So that's there for you. We do see a couple of questions coming in via the chat panel. Didn't mention that at the beginning of our time together today, but if you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat panel. We'll have some Q&A time at the end of our call together today where we'll be specifically addressing those questions. So just make sure to drop those as you're thinking about them in the chat panel, and then we'll address those towards the end of our time together today. So again, city name vacation rentals, the 7-pack was 60% of the time, the 3 or 5, 35% of the time, and I would recommend that you understand in your market what shows up the majority of the time. Is it the 7, is it the 3, is it the 5? If it's the 3 the majority of the time, you've got a lot harder job to get on that list just because of the competitive nature of it. So something to really hone in on and take an understanding. The next thing was searching from a local location. So I changed the search parameters for this part of the research to say, okay, I am in Charleston searching for a bed and breakfast in Charleston. Now I didn't use Charleston because I actually physically am in Charleston. We set our local search to a different city. So we tested this in numerous cities to see if we got similar results. And time after time, these are the results that we got. So when I searched city name, and that matched the city that I told Google I was in, vacation rentals, I got the 7-pack time and time again. Same for city name state vacation rentals, same for city name bed and breakfast, and same for city name state bed and breakfast. So time and time again, we got the 7-pack when searching from a local location for a local location that we were in. So again, searching in Indianapolis, for Indianapolis, searching in Myrtle Beach for something in Myrtle Beach, which makes sense if you think about the way people are using Google. It's logical that if they're searching that, they're on the ground in that city, that you'd be more likely to show them that 7-pack, that map listing for them to get results. The other thing to think about is based on where you're searching from, especially if you're on a mobile device, because they can get a much better hone-in on where you are from a mobile device than from a desktop per se. The results you're going to see are going to be much more honed in on the area that you are. You're going to be seeing very specific results, and our assumption is, based on everything we've seen and read, that those results will take into account where you physically are. So if you're in a big city like Manhattan, New York, you're going to see much closer to you a smaller radius. If you're in a smaller city with less option, that radius is probably going to be a little bit bigger. But again, you need to understand your city and where you fall in this mix. Are you in a big city, a small city, and how do you respond? How does your strategy adjust accordingly? So let's look at some of the results. So we've been crunching this data, we've been looking at it, but what does this mean for you? What are the results? Well, what we have seen as we look at the customers that we're working with, in the last 30 days, for customers that are in the 7-pack, you've got a 6 to 10% increase in organic traffic. Now, that's not a rule of thumb. You may not be there. I've talked to several people actually that have had a complete drop-off in organic traffic since Pigeon updated. There may be other issues at play there. It's hard to say. We'd be happy to help you understand that. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But you really need to understand what's going on. Are you seeing an increase? Are you flat? Or are you seeing a decrease? And if you're seeing a decrease, that's a red flag. Something needs to change. Make sure it's not just a seasonality decrease, right? You got to be able to isolate, okay, is this seasonality and we're in August now, and August is always slow for me, so that's why you're seeing a decrease. Or is it something that might be caused by Pigeon? Looking at that, understanding it, and knowing how to respond accordingly. The takeaway, though, in all of that, the 7-pack dominated our results. So we know everyone on this call doesn't necessarily just want to rank for the vague term bed and breakfast or the vague term vacation rental, because location is important. Nobody looking for you is just searching that vague term. So knowing that and thinking about those results I showed you earlier, that 80%, 90%, 60% of the time the 7-pack is showing up, you need to be in the 7-pack. If you're not in the 7-pack, you need to be figuring out how to get there, and we're going to talk about some of the ways to do that here in a little bit. But take that away. Check your analytics, understand what's going on in your organic traffic numbers, isolate your Google organic traffic in your analytics and look at what's going on there, and then see if you're in the 7-pack and run those non-local searches. So make sure you do that. We're going to talk again kind of here about how we go about doing that. So what do you need to know? I talked at the beginning of our time together about having some great takeaways, something you could take in and put into place. What you need to do is know if you're in the 7-pack for local and non-local searches. Repeating it there because of the importance of it. So write that down, write that on your to-do list. I need to figure out if I'm in the 7-pack for local and non-local. You also need to understand what's showing up in your area. Is it the 3-pack, the 5-pack, the 7-pack, or no map pack? And you need to do that by searching your keywords from multiple different locations. And I don't mean get on a plane and fly all over the place. There's a way in Google that you can change your location and tell it where you are so that you can see that. That's kind of the cheap, easy way to do it. There's also IP mapping you can do, or excuse me, IP masking that you can do, where you actually reroute your IP through other servers to make Google think you're somewhere else. That's a great way to do it too. And if you're really going to get a true true research data, that's what you need to do. For most of us, just doing the city change on Google, quick and easy to do, is enough to get that done. And know if you're in there, and then know what's showing up in your area. Second thing is making sure that your contact info is uniform across your listings. So your name, address, phone number, any other contact information you have on your page, you need to make sure whatever's on your website matches what's on your Google Plus page. It matches any other third-party directories that you're in. It matches your Facebook page. It matches your VRBO profile. It matches your bedandbreakfast.com profile. It matches your Historic Hotels of America, your Select Registry profile. All those third-party profiles, you need to make sure that it's consistent across the board, because that's what Google's looking at to put you on that map. We've got to have a consistent address. In that vein, make sure that you're using your real address. I've got an error message here from GoToMeeting that my audio has disconnected, so bear with me just a sec while we try to get that going. Are you all hearing my audio okay? Could somebody drop in the chat panel if you can hear my audio? Is everybody able to hear my audio again there? All right, I appreciate that. I apologize. Not sure what happened. We must have had an internet connection outage here momentarily. I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate those of you who chimed in there on the chat panel letting me know that. Did get an alert from GoToMeeting, so I think I know where I was here in our time together. But we were talking about making sure that your contact information is uniform across your listings, name, address, phone number. What I was just getting ready to say is make sure that if you have a P.O. box address, I know mail doesn't deliver to some remote locations that some of our customers are in, you need to make sure that your website accurately reflects and it matches your physical location address. It's really important because Google's looking to see uniformity in that address. So make sure that that's the case. I had a question on local versus 800 phone numbers. Would echo that there too. Pick one and stick with it. If you're going to market an 800 number, just stick with it and bear the extra 800 number costs as opposed to marketing both numbers. What's most important is that the primary one you're showing on your website and the one you're using throughout all of your listings is the same. If you want to put another local number in a footer or something like that, you can do that, but try to just make it easy. Try to stick with one. Probably help people out as a whole. Great question, though. Next thing is check your analytics for any change in organic traffic. You heard me talk about this earlier. I can't stress it enough. You need to be in your analytics, diving deep in your data at least once a month. There's something that we run, and if you've been on an analytics audit with us in the past, you've heard me talk about it, but it's called a leaky bucket test, where we have a way of going in and real quick in analytics, we can go in and see, are we losing traffic from any sources, and what's the largest amount of traffic we're losing from sources. And real quickly we can dive in and see, okay, what traffic is being lost, and that's something you need to understand, because if you're losing traffic from a source, you're losing bookings from that source most likely, assuming it was a good traffic source. So you need to be able to identify that and respond accordingly quickly. That's something we can help you with through our analytics audit or through an opportunity like that. But take down these notes on this and make sure you make this a priority in your marketing and understand what's going on here. To help you with this, because we know this can be overwhelming, you know that we have a passion for helping people in the hospitality industry, and that oftentimes on webinars we make things available for you, opportunities available for you to interact with our team. Your next step, our recommended next step for you would be to request our free Google Pigeon audit. This is probably going to be a quick 10-15 minute phone call, go-to meeting, either one. One of our team members will set this up with you, maybe myself, depending on the response we had. Kind of had an overwhelming response for our time together today. Give me just a second here. We got another message here, making sure everybody's on mute in the go-to meeting there. But if you're looking for help, if you're like, okay, I get that this is important, but what's my next step need to be? I don't understand how to run a non-local search. I don't understand 7-pack versus 3-pack versus no pack. Reach out to us. We would be happy to help you and do that 10-15 minute phone call with you to go through that free Google Pigeon audit. What you're going to get in that time is really just an understanding of what's going on in these areas. We're going to help you walk through these to-dos to make sure that you've got these worked out. This knowing if you're in the 7-pack for local and non-local, as well as what's showing up for your area, looking at the uniformity of your name, your contact info, things like that, and then looking at your analytics to see if there's anything going on, if there's a leaky bucket in your world that needs to be addressed. So that's all something we'll do for you as a part of this free Google Pigeon audit. You'll get an email from me afterwards, and you can respond to that email. You can also just email me. My email address is on the screen. You've gotten tons of email from me in the last several days with login information and all that other stuff to be on the call today. So you can just reply to those as well, and it'll come straight to me. But really encourage you, if this is something that's important to you and you're not sure how to take your next step, you're not sure how to do this on your own, reach out and take advantage of that Google Pigeon audit. We'll usually make this available for about the next 7 to 10 days based on response. So really encourage you to do that. One other thing I wanted to kind of make you all aware of is that our next webinar is going to be September 17th, so go ahead and mark your calendar for that. We're going to be hitting on how to design a killer website. So we're going to be talking about what travelers are looking for and clicking on, so sharing real live customer data on what's going on, what people are clicking on, time on site, some of those types of things, and then learning what's driving website traffic and booking. So what's driving results in today's day and age? What are our highest performing marketing initiatives? Where should you be allocating time and budget as you're preparing for 2015? So we're going to be sharing both of those as well as more information with you on that, how to design a killer website. Even if you're not redesigning your website, this would be a great webinar for you to attend to understand how to get the most out of the site that you have. So wanted to put that opportunity in there for you as well, so you can mark your calendars, and you'll be hearing from us with an invitation to join us for that September 17th. All right, I promised some Q&A time here. Been seeing lots of questions coming in throughout our time, so I'm going to open my chat panel here. Hopefully I can find the questions that came in the mix of the notifications on audio messaging. Had a question from somebody about a specific directory, and does that come up? Are they coming up because they are a directory? They're coming up because we've been working really hard on SEO for a long time. That directory, actually, we do all their internet marketing. So the directory we're talking about is Select Registry. So if you're a Select Registry member, they come up a lot because we've been working really hard, and those who have gone before us have worked hard for years to get them ranked. So that is part of it. This is something you should be looking at for your local associations as well, your state level associations. So having an SEO strategy and having that as a part of your mix if one of your goals is to drive more traffic for your members. So big opportunity for you there to be looking into a more aggressive marketing strategy. Had a question from Katie here. Different folks in different areas of the country see different results. How do we track success with this? The most important thing to do is to track success with your organic traffic and the bookings coming from that. I mean, that's how you measure it at the end of the day. Are you getting organic traffic and tracking that in Google Analytics or a like tool? Now, that's how you measure big picture success. Now, measuring rankings is also important, and understanding where you fall. If you're in a 7-pack situation, are you in that list? How do you move up the list? And having a search engine strategy to do that, and that search engine optimization strategy should be coupled with a content creation and content marketing strategy. If you're doing SEO without a content marketing piece, you're about 2 years behind the curve on that one. So if you're with an SEO company who's not doing content marketing, they're not producing regular, excellent quality content, and by regular I mean at least weekly quality content, then you're kind of about 2 years behind the 8 ball on that one, and now it's definitely the time to be getting going on that, because it's just going to become more and more important. Had a question about notes available for download. We'll be sending out a link to our Prezi today. We'll also be posting this on our YouTube channel. So if you're not a subscriber to us on YouTube, it's just youtube.com/Q4Launch. Recommend you go subscribe. We'll also send out an email to everybody who registered for today with a link to that presentation. So, all right, let's see here. Let's see if we got any other questions. Getting through where we were in the audio here. Had Bob's question there about the local phone number versus 800 number. Is it an issue if one is shown on some sites and the other is on some? Talked about that one as it came in. I saw it, and yes, it is an issue. We would recommend having one phone number listed. 800 numbers, honestly, we feel like are kind of going by the wayside as landlines are going by the wayside, and everybody has free long distance now. But if you want to keep your 800 number, by all means you can do that and figure that out. So any other questions, drop them in the chat panel. Had a question in there about email marketing. Not going to dive into that deeply today. It's its own animal. If you would like an answer on that question, shoot me an email and I'll be happy to answer it for you, but I want to keep today focused on Google Pigeon. If anybody else has any questions on Google Pigeon, then you can definitely let us know. Had a question there I see about Chrome Incognito and whether that still knows your location. That's really in place to block cookies from being dropped on your browser. I don't know if it blocks your location as well. I'd have to check on that and figure that out. But a quick Google search would let you know that. I haven't personally used Incognito, so I can't speak to it. But just a quick search or a quick help search, and that would help you out there. So definitely something to check out and potentially a good option for you when you're looking for that. So any other questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat panel there, and we'll get them answered. It's audio again there for a minute. Sorry about that, everybody. Apparently it is a bad day to be on the internet here in Charleston. Apparently the internet servers can't keep up with the heat outside. But I appreciate your patience with that. If you have any questions, do drop those in the chat panel for me. I'll stick around here for a few more minutes as we were having some audio connection issues. If you have put a question in I haven't answered, it may have gotten lost in the mix of me losing my connection, so please put that back in the chat panel. Be happy to address that for you. Had a question on how to do non-local searches. Let me switch gears here for a minute and run you through that. Hopefully everybody's still seeing my screen here. All right, if you're still seeing my screen, I'm going to run you through how to do a non-local search real quick. Appears we might be having connection issues again, but hopefully you're still seeing my screen. What you want to do here is click on Search Tools, and you want to go to this drop down. It'll default, it auto detects your location, and then if you want to change that, you can do it here and set it so you can see. So now I've got my location set as Boise, Idaho. You see it there. You'll see I'm searching for Seattle bed and breakfast, and you can see what comes up in this list here. So that's a non-local search of how to do that. We can also take a quick look at a vacation rental example and see what comes up here. So still searching for, still looking with our location set as Boise, Idaho. Here's an example of a 3-pack coming up. So you see the map over here, map for North Myrtle Beach vacation rentals, and you see we have 3 listings showing up here. So that's kind of what's going on there. Again, search tools, click that drop down that has the city and enter your location. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Appreciate you coming along. Apologize for the connection issues there again. We will be posting this to YouTube. Hopefully the recording came through okay. And if you have any questions, you have my contact information. Let us know what we can do to help. And happy marketing. We look forward to talking to you. Appreciate all the feedback we get via email on our webinars as well. So if you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear from you. So talk to you soon and have a great rest of your day.